The summit of Thorax was not meant for human feet. Lena Ardent knew this as she climbed the obsidian steps carved into the mountainside, each one polished smooth by centuries of dragonfire and wind. The diplomatic envoy from Earth had been explicit in their warnings. Observe, record, but do not interact. The Draconi were an ancient species, proud and volatile, and humanity's first contact with them hung by a thread as delicate as spider silk. But Lena had never been good at following warnings. The observation post sat at the edge of the nesting grounds, a transparent shelter that allowed human scientists to study the dragons without interference. Through the crystalline walls, Lena watched the massive creatures move with surprising grace across the volcanic plateau. Their scales caught the light of the binary suns, refracting it into cascades of color that made her breath catch. "You shouldn't be here alone," Ambassador Chen had told her that morning. "The Draconi have made it clear. Humans are tolerated as observers, nothing more. One wrong move and the treaty dies." Lena had nodded, promised to be careful, and then slipped away the moment the ambassador's back was turned. Now, crouched behind a formation of crystallized lava, she watched a scene that made her heart ache with a strange mixture of wonder and sorrow. A cluster of adult Draconi surrounded something small, a cub, she realized, no larger than a horse. Its scales were dull gray where its parents gleamed like polished gems, and it moved with an awkward, stumbling gait. The adults hissed and snapped when it approached, driving it back with small bursts of flame that made the cub whimper. Lena's translator implant caught fragments of their rumbling speech. "Defective. Weak, will not survive." She'd seen this before, in nature documentaries from Earth. The runt of the litter, rejected by its own kind. The rational part of her mind, the part trained in xenobiology and diplomatic protocol, screamed at her to stay hidden, to document and nothing more. But the part of her that had grown up rescuing injured birds and nursing abandoned kittens couldn't look away from those golden eyes. So full of confusion and hurt, the adult dragons eventually departed, their massive wings creating dust devils as they took flight. The cub, Valeth she would later learn it was called, remained alone on the plateau, curled into a small ball of gray scales and trembling wings. Lena made her decision. She emerged from her hiding place slowly, hands raised, making herself as small and non-threatening as possible. The cub's head snapped up immediately, nostrils flaring as it caught her scent. Its lips peeled back to reveal rows of needle-sharp teeth, and a warning growl rumbled from its chest. "Hey there," Lena said softly, her voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding her system. "I'm not going to hurt you." Valeth's growl intensified. The translator struggled with the young dragon's vocalizations, but the meaning was clear. "Stay back, danger predator." Lena sat down cross-legged on the warm stone, making no move to advance. She'd learned long ago that animals, even alien ones, responded to patience more than aggression. She simply sat, breathing slowly, letting the dragon assess her. Minutes passed, then an hour. The binary suns tracked across the sky, painting the plateau in shades of amber and rose. Still Lena sat, and still Valeth watched her with those ancient, sorrowful eyes. Finally, curiosity overcame fear. The cub took one tentative step forward, then another. Its movements were cautious, ready to bolt at any moment. Lena remained perfectly still, hardly daring to breathe. Valeth approached until it was close enough to touch. Its nostrils flared again, processing her scent with the intensity of a scanner analyzing data. Then, in a movement that would later be analyzed by xenobiologists across 3 star systems, the dragon cub lowered its head and placed it gently in Lena's lap. The weight was substantial, but manageable. Heat radiated from its scales, warm but not burning. Lena felt tears prick her eyes as she slowly, carefully raised one hand and placed it on the cub's head. The scales were surprisingly smooth, like warm glass beneath her fingers. Valeth made a sound, not quite a purr, not quite a rumble, that vibrated through Lena's entire body. It was a sound of contentment, of trust, of a connection that transcended species. That was when the shadow fell over them. Lena looked up to find an adult Draconi hovering above, its wing beats creating hurricane-force winds that threatened to tear her from the plateau. Its eyes, the same golden hue as Valeth's, blazed with an intensity that promised swift death. "Elcor Ath." The dragon's voice boomed like thunder, and Lena's translator struggled to keep up. Human thing, you dare touch our defective offspring? Lena should have been terrified. Every cell in her body screamed at her to run, to prostrate herself, to beg for mercy. Instead, she kept her hand on Valeth's head and met the dragon's gaze. Your offspring isn't defective, she said, her voice carrying across the plateau with a confidence she didn't quite feel. It's just different. And different doesn't mean worthless. The adult dragon landed with a thunderous impact that cracked the stone. It approached slowly, each footfall deliberate, until its massive head was level with Lena's. She could feel its breath, hot and smelling of sulfur and starlight. You speak boldly for prey, the dragon rumbled. What makes you think you understand the ways of Draconi? Lena thought of Earth, of humanity's own history of casting out those deemed different. She thought of how many brilliant minds had been dismissed, how many beautiful souls had been rejected, simply because they didn't fit the mold. Because, she said softly, her hand still stroking Valeth's scales, we've made the same mistake. And we've learned, slowly, painfully, that our greatest strength comes not from being the same but from accepting what makes us different. The dragon studied her for a long moment. Then its gaze shifted to Valeth, who had pressed closer to Lena, seeking protection from its own kind with this strange, soft creature. The human thing has chosen you, little one, the dragon said, its voice softer now. Perhaps we have been wrong. As the binary sun set over Kale Thorax, painting the sky in impossible colors, Lena Ardent sat with a dragon cub in her lap and felt the weight of history shifting. Humanity's first contact with the Draconi would be remembered not for diplomatic treaties or technological exchange, but for this moment, a human girl and a dragon cub, two outcasts finding connection across the vastness of space. Sometimes, the greatest diplomatic breakthroughs come not from following the rules, but from having the courage to break them for the right reasons.